Welcome to Epic Genealogy. I'm Mark, and I'm at the Queen of Heaven Catholic Cemetery in Mesa, Arizona. And just, if you've ever had a real surprise doing family history, let me know what that was in the comments, because I got a big one. That's why I'm actually here today, because those who follow the channel know Mia Familia hail from Carini, Sicilia. It's a really small town right on the coast of Palermo in the western part of Sicily. And Mesa, Arizona, not really known as a hotbed for a lot of Sicilians. So I'm one of them. It's rare to see. I did find that did do a video that I actually had a third cousin, a Randazzo, right here in Phoenix. But this is Mesa, Arizona. This is like 8 miles from where I live. So this actually started with a 1919 Carini marriage record. I have the silver record. I only have the silver records after 1911. So this was 1919, and it was Augusto Agrusa. Now that's a name that's familiar, but it was a different Augusto Agrusa then. So it goes back about 200 years, because the Sicilian or the European naming tradition was you always get named for your grandfather. So the original one that I found out came from Genesi into Carini at around 1810, around that time, and so the grandchildren named Augusto. So this is the second Augusto Agrusa that I found, married in 1919, and wound up immigrating to Brooklyn that year. And they wound up having a child, their last child, born in Brooklyn, 1932, Veronica Agruso. And this is why I'm here today, because even though she's born in Brooklyn, she is the daughter of Sicilian immigrants from Carini, and they are fairly closely related to me. So it was a real surprise to track her and where she, and who she married, and where. I have to still decide whether it's appropriate to put the picture in a video like this, but take my word for it, this is a good looking couple. She married an Arthur Walsh in 1955, and since 1978 she lived right here in the valley, and she passed away in 2016, and unfortunately, but she was in her 80s. And she's buried here, so I'm going to try to find that, and because I think it's incredible. So here, again, Carini, Sicilia is a really, really small part of the Palermo province, and so it just still mind-blowing to me, at least, to know that after all those years that our families immigrated, both our families immigrated to Brooklyn.
No sleep till Brooklyn!
And what's really interesting is she lived right next door to my great uncle Francesco Fiorello. They live right next door. So here's the census record to show they're living right next door, or basically in the same building. So her family, she probably knew my great grandparents, Mio Bisnono and Nifa Pecoraro, Mia Bisnona. She probably knew them, and the idea that she lived right here in Mesa, where I have wound up, is really, really cool. So I'm going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to try to find their headstone.
1 week later.
I actually had to come back to the cemetery because I could not find them. I may have walked past them. I even had security helping me out. I still was not able to find them, but my wife is smarter than me, and so she's using something on the phone that may get us there, and I may have just walked right past. So it is a different day, and plus it was pretty hot that day, and walking around for an hour or so aimlessly, I almost died. So we'll see if this is going to be the right way. I thought I was going to die.
Supposed to be cemetery
I thought
humor?
yes,
Oh my God.
yes, and that counts. That's funny.
All funny.
We are really bad at finding, even with the help of the internet, where is our family?
Ta-da!
You found it? Of course, my wife would be the one to find it. Let's see what we got it. We've got it right there. We have found Veronica Walsh and Arthur Walsh, married in 1955, and our car was right there, and we have found it. This is awesome. This is really, really, really great to see. I only wish that I had known about this cousin who was living right here in the valley, not that far from me, but unfortunately she passed away in 2016. But the daughter of Sicilian immigrants, we are cousins. I think we're actually, Gene, I think we're fourth cousins. But what's really unfortunate is that I didn't get to know her, is that, as I mentioned, and I have a census record to show this, she actually lived right next door to my Pecoraro family. She lived right next door to my great-grandmother's brother, Francesco Pecoraro, and his wife, Francesca Fiorello. Lived right next to them. So there's a really good chance that if I had gotten to know her, or just at least get to meet Veronica, that she would have known about my family and would have remembered, because she was born in 1932, and so she would have had contact with them for at least 10 years, and plus their children in Salvador Pecoraro, who's named for Salvador Pecoraro, same as my grandfather was named for Salvador Pecoraro. He's Salvador Randazzo. So they were both named for their grandfathers, which is kind of the Sicilian or the European naming tradition, that you're named after your grandfather. So really cool. Glad I was able to get that. Hopefully I can get in touch and hear back from Veronica's family, because I did reach out to some of the kids. I have not heard back yet, because maybe there's a chance, not just because it's cool to connect with family that way, but there's a really good chance that she may have some pictures that my family has never seen before, because again, they live right next door, and they were fairly closely related to the Pecoraro family, which explains why they're living next to each other in Brooklyn, which is where Veronica was born in 1932. So this is really cool. I'm glad I was able to get out here and finally, with the help of my wife, isn't that what it usually takes? Be able to find Veronica and keep the memory of the Agrusa family here in Mesa, Arizona, to keep that alive. And so, hey, thanks for watching, and you know what to do now.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
And yeah, it was actually the first time I was here, I was parked like right there. I must have walked right past it. Hey, welcome to Epic Genealogy. I am at the Queen. I forgot the name of it already.